How did it feel to hear in that open that Chris Tannehill cut? I mean, Frank Gifford there towards the end, John Madden going, "Oh, Raymont's a man. Raymont Harris is a man. You're going to pick one guy off this team. It's Raymont Harris." That's pretty amazing.
It is, man. And it's cool because I've had a chance now to reflect. And there's been so much distance from my playing days to now that I can actually appreciate that. To hear these kind words from these guys that are Hall of Famers, that are respected in their games, who are legends in their own right, looking at me as a legend as well, man, I appreciate that.
Do you look at your career and think, man, I got a lot out of my body and my NFL career? Because there's a lot of great years, but I'm sure that a lot of players, you guys feel like, oh, I could have done more or whatever. Yeah. How does it sit with you right now?
You know what? My body is beat down. I know you can't tell. I look like an Adonis.
It's true.
But besides that, besides that, all of my ligaments in my knee and my ankle, they're all banged up. I've had 6 surgeries, and I can actually feel that stuff now that I'm 50 plus years old. So when I look back at it, I feel like I could have done more. And I had these dreams and these ideas and aspirations of being a Pro Bowl player and playing, running back for 10 years. But the NFL has a tricky way of waking you up about that. And they, you may go into it with these ideas of being this great player, but we see it all the time where a running back hit was really good, and then just like that, they fall off of a cliff.
So look, we talk with a lot of people here on the station, and through reading the book, Control the Controllables, Mindset, Pressure, and the Power of Control, I realized that we had another person that we can add to the list of people connected to Tom Brady in a weird way. So Matt Bowen, who played in the league while you were probably towards the end of your career, played in the league, he was drafted the pick after Tom Brady, okay? So we have that connection. And then your connection with Tom Brady, that was one. Look, there was a lot of really cool emotional stuff in the book that I do want to talk about. That was one of those football moments that I just sit there and go, oh my God, the connection to this. So for people who don't know, can you walk us through the moment where you're talking with Tom Brady as a vet, as he's a rookie? You're talking with him and being like, you're gonna be all right, young blood. Everything's gonna be okay. And then what happened?
This is year 2000 with the New England Patriots.
Raymont Harris. In the year 2000, I was. It was my last year in the league, but it was Bill Belichick's first year, and they drafted Tom Brady with the 199th pick in the 6th round, and we went through an entire camp. And he didn't get a lot of opportunities, to be honest. But he was a good guy. You could tell he was confident. He was definitely poised in the pocket, but he worked hard and he was consistent. So we get to the end of training camp, and 4th string quarterbacks obviously never make NFL teams, and he barely was on the field. So I'm a good guy. I go put my arm around Tom. I'm like, hey Tom, hey buddy, hey, you did your best out there. I'm not sure it's gonna work out here with the Patriots. But good luck out there, my guy. I'm sure somebody will pick you up. Keep your head up. I say that.
Good for you, man.
And because I'm a good guy.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah.
So then I go home, and that morning, the next morning, I receive a call from my agent. He's like, hey, Raymond, you're never going to guess what happened. I'm like, what happened? He said the New England Patriots kept 4 quarterbacks. Tom Brady made the team. I was like, what? Tom made the team? Oh, that's crazy. I'm so happy for him. I love that guy. That's my guy. I can't wait to congratulate him. He said, I'm glad you feel that way because they cut you to make room for him. And I was like, I know.
And you kept running into these situations where you would join teams after they won the ring.
Man, it felt like I had something to do with this in a wild kind of way. So, after my 4 years in Chicago, I then signed as a free agent with the Green Bay Packers. I know. I was waiting for the booze. Well. I was waiting for some booze.
It's a problem.
All right, and
we still love you, though.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Trust me. Trust me. I didn't do anything for those guys. So I was no help. So I got there in '98, and that was the year after they went to their 2nd Super Bowl. And then the next year, I signed with the Denver Broncos. the year after they won their second Super Bowl. And then I went to the New England Patriots the year before they won a string of Super Bowls. So like the one thing, it's like I was always like 1 year away.
Yeah.
1 year away. How do you remember? How do you know that? You must have read the book.
Yeah, I read.
That's my guy.
I read the book cover to cover, and there's a lot in there, and I think that people should really pick it up because what I love about it is that you make it pretty clear that people can use your story at whatever point in the story you want to pick it up, whether we're talking about the kid from Lorraine or the kid that is being moved from fullback to running back, back to running back, back to fullback at Ohio State, and all of the different hurdles that you have, or your career in the NFL, and then afterwards trying to find it. I think that there's a lot in here for people to learn. So I implore people to get this book, Control the Controllables. I want to start with what you started with early, and I understand if this is emotional for you because it was emotional for me when reading it. The way that you describe your relationship with your dad because of how you got here, it's heartbreaking. You talking about your mom dying in childbirth, so you never get to meet your mom. But here's your dad looking at you and being like, that's the face of, the woman that I loved and I lost. How did you work through that? Because that's a lot for a kid from a steel town that's trying to do good to have that weight to carry.
And thank you for the question, man. Yeah, man, it was tough. Living life and growing up in a small steel town where like your family is devastated from day one, and you never get a chance to have a mother. Like back in those days, people don't realize that like in the 70s there was no grief counseling or professional therapy, so everyone just kind of put their heads down and just did the best they could. And my pops was an old school black man from the South, from Arkansas, and he grew up with nothing, and found my mom, and they married, and they had this wonderful, happy family with my older siblings, and then she died, giving birth to me, and my father was forever changed from that. That pressure from losing my mom and having to take on life by himself to now take care of like this 12-year-old boy and this 9-year-old daughter and this little infant all by himself. I think it took so much out of him because his life was so hard scrabbled now at that point that he was really just trying to figure out like what to do and how to do it. So it was difficult, like having that relationship with him. I mean, I always wanted to.
Did he resent you? You think?
You know what? I felt that way, if I'm being honest. There were many times when I would just lay in the bed and think like why me? Like he hates me. And I think, there was a resemblance of my mother. And I think he was always just really sad and grief, ridden. So, I mean, I have a lot of space. Now, as an older man, I have space to hold for my father. I mean, he is my hero.
We learn to forgive our parents, don't we?
You know what? But we have to get to that point. If you're waiting for like an apology, or you're waiting for like, hey, this, finally, I scored these touchdowns and he's gonna love me. Like I was wasting so much of my time and on like hoping for like these outcomes that I had no control over. Once I flipped it around and started like concentrating on what I could do, it's like the rest of my life really like fell into place.
Man, can I relate to that?
For sure.
And I'm sure a lot of people can. Whatever it is, like you hold stuff against your parents, and then it's your anger. Through the forgiveness, we end up getting kind of forgiven ourselves, and we can kind of move on. And did you end up like? Do you feel like your dad appreciated your football life when you think about it?
When I think it through. I'm sure my pops, he had to be really proud. Now, he never told me, and he never said like I love you, but his friends have told me. My big sister, she told me. So like I know deep down in my heart that like my father was like proud of everything that I've done, and I can't help but wonder, like I look up and I know my mother is too.
But there is that moment, and there's another one of these moments. And again, Control the Controllables is the name of the book. Please buy it wherever you get your books. Ask them to make sure that they have this book from Raymont Harris, our guest here for the hour. the moment where you have a game and your dad's there at the game and he's like, you know who I like? I like that other guy. That other guy on the team is my favorite player.
A different running back?
And my heart broke when I read that.
Yeah.
How did you learn to work through some of that? Because those are those moments where you were proud of what it was that you were accomplishing, and you're thinking at some point, Pops is going to come around, and he didn't in that moment. Yeah. So what did that teach you?
There was something about that that interaction I truly think really altered a lot of me. And for all that time, I was holding so much space for my father, like hoping that he would love me and root for me and be proud of me. And then when he told me after that game that his favorite player that he loved to watch on the field was the other running back. So I'm like,
was it Robert Green? Was it Rashaan Salam?
No, this was back in at Ohio State. Yeah, no.
I got all these rival Bears running backs.
Right, no, you didn't say that about those guys. But back at that time, it was a guy. His name was Dante Lee. You guys don't necessarily know of him now, but he was like really talented, like at Ohio State. So for him to say that, it not only broke my heart, but it made me angry with him. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I instead of like wanting to make him proud and wanting him to say I love you, I wanted to do it in spite of him. It's like, I'm gonna go be successful, and I'm gonna be like, yeah, what now? What? So that was my fuel, and that's why I think like control is so important, Lawrence, is because I think feelings are fleeting. Motivation, it's all fleeting. It comes and goes. How you feel and the things you do and what you're motivated by could also be something that's unhealthy. I went through a significant part of my adulthood being motivated by something negative. I got amazing results, but once all that stuff stopped, I then had to deal with like this inner demon that I had. So to me, I would say, look, today from a 55-year-old man, I can say like my father was trying to motivate me, maybe. I mean, I can't really speak to like what his motivation was, but I know that like for me, like getting the job done became so important.
So Speaks and I talk about this a lot, and it's great because I really like partnering with Speaks because he gives the conversations like these a lot of space for us to work through it. And one of my things now has been, the negative stuff, people always talk about that. Right, Speaks? Like people always like, I'll show them. And I always wondered when it came to mindset of when can all of us get to a place where instead of proving people wrong, proving people right. Like that's kind of where I'm at, where it's like there's so many people who actually do believe in what it is that you're trying to do, or they believe in you as a person. What do you think it is about us that doesn't allow for us to draw from that as much as we draw from people telling you can't do something?
Yeah, man, I'm not sure if it's innate. I'm not sure if it's something that we've learned or just been passed down from generation to generation, but I don't think it's in our natural nature to be, fired up about the, things that people say positively about us, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And that's one of the, tricky things about living in our society. But you realize that that when the motivation is coming from this negative place, think about I don't know if you guys know the statistics, but the majority of our thoughts are negative, 80% of them. And 95% of those negative thoughts are the same thoughts we had yesterday and the day before.
Oh, man.
So we are just conditioned in this society.
Get out of my head.
Right? It's I know you.
I remember hanging out.
I listen to Speaks all the time. That guy's 85% negative.
God.
Maybe 90.
Same thoughts as yesterday. I thought I processed those, man.
I know, man. Yeah, but you got to
work
through them.
You got to work every damn day.
You do. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, but you're right, and it's we externalize that motivation. That to me anyway, Lawrence, to what you're talking about, the stuff that you and I get to talk about. When I allow myself to be motivated by the people outside of my circle who might be fans or listeners or anybody or whatever, of course I'm going to be drawn to the negatives.
Yeah.
So I have to make the circle smaller of who I'm actually motivated by. Yeah. And then a lot of those people on the inside might be the ones saying, hey, you're really good. It's okay. Keep going. You got it. A friend of mine likes to say, nobody ever got better when they felt like crap about themselves. And I've held on to that. And as I raise my son, I think about that. It's like, why am I going to tear you down and make you feel like crap and then expect you to be better? That doesn't make sense to me. But it's hard because externally, all we get is a negative.
That's one of those new age ways of thinking.
I know.
I'm from the 70s. And the generation before they, like the boomers and whoever was before them.
Yeah.
Like all that stuff has been passed down generation to generation, my guy.
It's getting better. I'm telling you, I had this thought. Remember, Lawrence, I had this thought a couple weeks ago. We were listening to Caleb Williams, and he was talking about how he believes in himself. It was with Kay Adams, how he innately believes in himself. It's exactly what you're talking about. And I was like, damn, listen to that kid's self-talk. His self-talk is like, I can do this. Yeah. I'm good enough. Yeah. I can do this. I'm like, damn, these kids, they're ahead of us in that way. Because they've had these opportunities, especially if their parents enabled them. Like these young football players, they believe in themselves a little bit more, I think, now.
You know what? I'm not exactly sure. I think there is definitely space for that, because you think about it, man. Like the environment nowadays, like the kids, we call them the kids. I feel super old by doing that. Like these kids nowadays, they have like all these resources.
They do.
They have access to the internet that can take them places that where we could not go. We were confined to like our town. So I think nowadays, like they're able to actually educate themselves and hear more like positive talk, but with that comes like a bunch of negative talk as well. So someone like Caleb, for him to be able to he has to try. I mean, it's got to be like an incredibly difficult job, but to block out that negativity and like truly continue to believe in yourself. I mean, that's
some powerful stuff.
That's why he had made the jump from the first year to the second year.
I think his mindset is a big part of why we've seen that jump and why we're so heady on the Bears and him this year.
I think that he's one of one. I really do find him to be refreshing because he's clearly the first of this like next generation of athlete whose whole lives have been like on Twitter and social media. And he has figured out how to navigate it in a way that I think is incredibly impressive. And
impressive.
Every time we talk about him, I'm like, man, there's a lot that we can learn from him. And so I hope that things continue to go well for him. And even if they don't, the way that he bounces back from that, I think is going to be interesting too. We are talking with Raymont Harris. His book is called Control the Controllables. If you have not gotten it, you need to get it. It is really amazing. There's some crazy stuff in here, some great stories that you need to hear. His days at Ohio State, goodness gracious.
Yeah, we got to talk about the teammates that he had at Ohio State.
Yeah,
man.
The name drops that end up happening in this book are unreal. There's something else that we want to play for you in the next segment because we have a friend of the show that dropped by and he dropped a jewel on us. And I felt like I read a couple of parallels to this in the book. And so we were like, let's play this for Raymont and see if he can give us what the football equivalent. There was a line that is kind of drilled in my head from the book because it really does sum up your career as a Bear, where you wrote, I always wanted to be Walter Payton. They turned me into Matt Sue. But this was a theme. This happened to you multiple times, whether we're talking prep or we're talking college ball and then in the NFL. How did you get through having the dream of, man, I want to be Walter Payton, and then coaches then saying, well, there's another role that we think that you could really excel at? How did you break through your own ego and try to figure that out?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. It's like I think that is the part that really keeps us from like attaining like the goals that we have, is that sometimes we hang on to like these old outdated ideas of who we are, and that when we hold on to that stuff, it doesn't allow for us to actually attain that new thing. So like for me, like it seems like ever since I started playing football, they were trying to put me as a fullback. And back in the 80s, in '90s, like, fullback was way different than it is now. I mean, guys can at least get some catches, and some teams can actually make their fullback like really important to the offense. But back then, it was just like a blocking back. It was like an extension of the line, and I always turned it down. Like high school, they tried that. I'm like, nah, I ain't doing that. And college, Ohio State, they tried that. I'm like, nah, I ain't doing that. I don't do that kind of
You're
stuff.
like,
I'm
I
a
catch
running back.
passes.
Yeah, man, I do all kinds of things. But yes,
I make moves.
I score touchdowns. That's what I want. I'm a 100-yard game guy. Like that's who I am. And when I got to Chicago, and they said we want you to be a fullback, I learned from my past, and me having that, like holding on to that anger and that trying to hold on to that identity, it never served me well. So I embraced it, and it's amazing. Like when we start embracing things, like what can happen. It's like I got better, and I started getting better in like these other areas that I wasn't that good in, because all I really cared about was carrying the ball, and that versatility made me even more valuable to the offense. So much so that I got the ball even more. So and then they started like constructing ways to get it to me, like in the air and on the ground. So like. It was just further proof that, like, man, when you hang on to like these old ideas, like sometimes like the idea has to change, and it may not be like the idea you came in with, but you have to be faithful in yourself and the belief that like what's on the other side of like this hard decision, and that's what ended up happening for me.
What's interesting is that it ties into football conversations we have all the time. Cole Kmet was like the #1 tight end here to catch passes. Yeah. Then they go out and they get the kid Colston Loveland, who's better at catching passes, and he's faster and smoother. So Cole becomes more of an inline tight end, but he still catches passes. And now they're going to have 3 tight ends. We're all going to catch passes. They're all going to block. It's like, and the more that you can do, the more that you'll end up being able to do and be a part of, right?
Right, exactly. It's like think about like if it's like this feels glamorous to me, like being like a sports radio talk show host.
Yeah, it's not.
Well, I mean, I'm starting to see this now.
You're starting to understand.
And now
right?
I understand, of course.
Thank you, though.
You're welcome. But just imagine, like, if you were also someone who could do the weather. If you were skilled at doing the weather and then also traffic, like on the surface, you'd be like, hell no, I'm not doing the weather and I ain't doing traffic. But like, if you were to embrace all of that, like imagine like how valuable you would be, like not only to this place, but then like all across the country.
Absolutely.
That's what happened to me.
Yeah, it's interesting. So when you're at Ohio State and your last year there is 93, we're talking about
that running back room is kind of stacked.
Yeah, let's discuss, shall we? I mean, Eddie George was pretty good, you know.
Yeah, he was good.
He was coming up, and he's on the way. I mean, there's the running back room, but also we're talking about Joey Galloway, talking about Terry Glenn. Like I thought of it as wide receiver at the time, but who else was in the running back rooms when you were there?
So back in those days, yeah, we were not wide receiver during then. Like we were all running the ball. I mean, like Ohio State was there were 3 yards in a cloud of dust kind of offense.
I know Terry Glenn was pretty good.
Oh, he was not until I left. As soon as I leave, like great things start happening around places.
Got you.
But so like at Ohio State though, my time we had Carlos Snow, Scotty Graham, Robert Smith, Eddie George, myself, and Butler Benote. We all went to the NFL. Wow. All of us, varying degrees of like success, but we all played a year or 2 in the league. So I'm used to going, being places where like there's a lot of competition. And to be honest, like when I left Ohio State and came to the Bears, it helped me understand that like competition is good. It can be done in a healthy way. There's no benefit for me tearing down like my teammate, tearing down Rashaan Salam to make things better for me. Nah, like I embraced it. I embraced the change. I thought I was better than him, but I'm still going to do the things I'm supposed to do to make it better for him. Mm-hmm. And then as long as I'm making myself more valuable, man, I'm going to stay on that field. And that's how my mindset changed from as an early guy to later on in my career.
When it came to wanting to do this book and you're doing speaking engagements and you're out here talking with people, what drove you to say, all right, put my life out here. I'm going to talk about all of these things in a way that I hope will allow folks to have a better life themselves.
I think there were times like in my life, in my adulthood, especially after I lost a game, where I see. All right, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar. Some of you guys might be able to understand this and agree with it, but there are a lot of like really deep things that happen with us that are traumatic and things that make us scared and afraid and sad. And, growing up, I was not, I couldn't embrace those, those emotions. I couldn't cry. I couldn't ask for help. I couldn't say I was scared. So you end up like compartmentalizing this stuff and you push it to the side and you focus and you can throw yourself into like this new life where you can be busy and people are celebrating you. But then you never have to deal with that compartmentalized part of you. You then go through your life. When that is taken from you, that stuff doesn't just disappear. It was still there and it came out and it was even stronger than it was before. And I had no idea on how to handle myself like with that. So like this journey of therapy and understanding like myself and being able to like speak out about things, actually admitting that I don't know everything, that I'm afraid of something, and I'm this right here, this area right here is another area where I need to get better in. Like those kinds of declarations that I had a chance to make about myself allowed me to then start embracing like this entire, like the entire shift of myself and my mindset. And that is what I talk about in the book, which is like embracing like the entirety of you. I mean, like you've got to do the work to get to the entire part of you. Because if you don't do the work, you'll just still be dealing with like this other, this facade that everyone else, knows that you kind of pull out when you go to work or you pull out when you're trying to meet some girls at, at the bar. But like the real you, the entire you, it still is not being like taken care of.
It's the real deal right here. It's real human stuff. And Raymont Harris, your book and these conversations are going to affect a lot of people's lives. I'm sure they already have. And now the natural segue to beating Dan Bernstein's ass in Scrabble. Can you please tell me about beating Dan Bernstein in Scrabble, sir?
So people, and I get it, I understand. They look at, they hear the ultra back, he's a footballer, the jock.
Yeah.
He's not that smart, not that bright. No, that's fine. I get that.
Even though there's a pretty long line of your educational prowess at Ohio State and in Lorraine, but whatever.
Right. Well, yeah, that exactly. But most people they don't know that. Dan Bernstein, who's obviously he's a very bright guy. He was my buddy. I love that guy. It seems like he might be kind of a know-it-all kind of guy.
Well, hold on.
I don't know the best way to say this.
Give me a minute. Let me check that out. Yeah,
That checks out.
That tracks.
That
So
checks out.
for some reason, the game Scrabble came up. Dan was talking about he's great. I'm like, Dan, I'll kill you. I'll blow your doors off.
Because Dan has an English degree from Duke. He's very loquacious and he knows a lot of words.
Very much so. And he was like, look, that loquacious, this guy right here is a Scrabble term right there. That would have been 85 points. So Dan challenged me to a Scrabble, Scrabble match, and yeah, I blew his doors off. I want to say
Phenomenal.
It's great because all of us love Dan. Like, and he was so shocked after that, and I loved it. I was like, "Yeah, you think he could beat you, huh? Yeah, all right,
Right.
Yeah.
And then he challenged Darnell Autry and Tiddlywinks just to try to even the score.
Well, he probably won that. That was a double shot, like a shot at Autry.
Oh, yeah,
shot at
Yeah,
Dan.
no, we got
Very
it.
well
No,
done.
we-
Future talk show host Raymont
Jeff, I have
Harris.
to explain these jokes. This is the second level.
You
jokes.
wanted to talk about Joe Madden and what Joe Madden brought up,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So Joe Madden, who's manager of the Cubs, won the World Series with the Cubs. He has this feeling about clubhouses and the guys that you see in the clubhouses. And when I was reading the book, I was like, man, there's a couple of parallels here to some stuff that you were writing about football locker rooms and judging books too early. And Joey Galloway, for example, was a guy that you brought up in the book. Listen, I want you to take a listen to what Joe Madden said. And then I want to know if you think that there are equivalents. Is he right? And does this work for football as well? This is Joe Madden with us explaining the 5 guys that are in a clubhouse.
Of course it does. It doesn't, not that it matters, it exists. It's the way the world, the baseball world occurs, revolves around the sun. I mean, level 1, happy to be here. We're all happy. When you get called up, man, your first appearance, my God, are you happy to be there? As you've wanted to do it your entire life. Everybody, your grandparents want to be there. Everybody wants to be there, your buddies, girlfriend, whatever. Happy to be here. Level 2, dangerous, survival. I like this, and I want to stay here, and I don't want to mess up. I don't want to make any mistakes. And it's a very careful spot to be in, which normally I don't think really lends to victory, and a lot of times does lead to defeat because of the carefulness. Level 3, I belong here, I can do this. Once a guy arrives there, he could help you win on a nightly basis. He gets it. He knows, he looks in the eyeballs of the other guys there on his team and other teams and knows that he's a part of this and he can compete here and he belongs here. Level 4, I want to make as much money as I possibly can. You can never diminish. That's important, man. A lot of times these careers are short. Whether it's injury or it's just something happens, a better player comes along. So make as much dough as you can. And level 5, you want level 5 guys, all I want to do is win. And if you really walk through a clubhouse, both you guys, I bet you can. You'll recognize the happy to be there guys. Somebody might be in survival, they're a little bit uptight all the time, etc. It's very easy to recognize. I thought about this in 1995. I think it was in the basement of '94 in Anaheim Stadium with Marcel Latchman at 1 o'clock in the morning. I thought this, and I went back that night, wrote it down. My uncle at Rick's house had a little pad by the bed for any kind of thoughts in the middle of the night, and I wrote this stuff down. So this happened to me. This epiphany occurred then, and I really believe not only in baseball does it hold true, but a lot of other occupations.
I think you're right, and all I want to do is win.
So what did you think there? Does Joe make a point? Have you seen these guys show up in NFL locker rooms?
Not only have I seen all of these guys, I have been all of these guys. I've never seen this 5 stages of ball player, but it's very interesting, man. It's kind of like there's a circle of life almost. Like you get into the league, as a rookie, like someone like me, I wasn't a first or second round, draft pick. So I was fighting to make that team, and nobody knew anything about me. But so I was really just happy to be there. So they're like, hey, we want you to play fullback. I'm like, sure, yeah, I'll play fullback. I'll do whatever I can. But then I also became like the guy that was trying not to mess up all the time, because if you do, then you're not gonna. I didn't have a long leash when it came to being able to be there. So and then wanting to make money and just staying in the league, and then wanting to win, like all of that stuff is like I think within like the natural normal psyche of a professional athlete, especially when it comes to football.
Yeah, you said your last 3 years, like you got to Green Bay right after they won, you got to Denver right after they won, you got to New England just before they won. Yeah. You weren't necessarily ring chasing, but you wanted to keep playing. You wanted to play for good teams.
Well, of course, but I mean, and I wasn't ring chasing at all. I was just going to like wherever I could go, and I thought that I still could like make an impact for a team. But that's the thing, man, about like professional sports, and I mean like there are different guys at different levels and different stages of their careers. You have 21-year-old guys playing with like 35-year-old guys. So like it's it makes sense for there to be like different levels. Like I think like the best teams that have like the best culture, that are led like with great leadership, they tend to like maximize all 5 of these like within like one team.
And just wherever somebody is, you just deal with where they are, right? Yeah. I'd be tempted as a coach or manager to hustle people through number 2 and hustle people through number 4.
Hey man, let's get to the money. Make money. You need to pick it up a little bit.
But you can't push somebody through it necessarily.
Nah. But like that's the thing about football, like the NFL. They will replace you immediately. You don't got to worry about like these coaches are not pushing after like 1s and 2s. Trust me. These guys, like this is their livelihood. They have latched their livelihood to the backs of like 20-year-olds. And they're all over the place. So like they're not gonna spend any time trying to develop these guys. It's like if you got it, you got it. If you don't, like every week they're trying to bring like new people to replace that guy.
What were the moments like when the realization of, I mean, yeah, I'm getting up at 5 and I'm working out and I'm waiting for someone to call, when you realized that no one was calling, what's the transition that you then have to make from a mindset standpoint?
That was tough because, first of all, I had to get real with myself. I was one of those guys that, I had done so well, and now that, and I had gotten hurt, and that was just legit. I mean, the thing about football and running backs is, like, we get hurt.
The ankle injury.
Ankles and knees, like, they really destroy our careers. And people don't realize how much of a difference it makes. Like a 0.2 second, 40 can make for a guy that, is able to get through like that hole, or someone that's getting tackled. So I had this career of like playing really well and doing well, and then no one's calling me. I had to first stop blaming these other teams. I'm blaming they don't like me. Oh, their system is outdated. They don't got space for a cool ultra back guy like me. I'm doing that kind of stuff. And as long as you are acting that way, it's more of a victim like mentality. And I'm so embarrassed now that now that I'm like this age, looking back at myself. And I was wondering why like teams didn't want me. Like all of that it wasn't confined to just making excuses. I was probably showing up as a guy that wasn't worthy of them like investing like an important like roster spot in. So coming to like an understanding of like truly like where you are and how like you are in control of like what you put out and what you do, like it changed like everything in my life. I feel like if I could have done that again, if I could go back to like my playing days, that would be mentally when things got tough, that would be the change I'd make.
Raymont, this was transformative, man. We really appreciate you. Control the Controllables is the name of the book. Wherever you get your books, you should get it. And if they don't have it, you need to tell them to get it. And we appreciate you spending some time with us and sharing, because it's one thing to share in the book and write all this stuff down. It's another in front of a group of people to be able to share the way that you've shared with us over this last hour.
Yeah, Raymont, they make fun of me for trying to get people into the feelings corner. Olin Kreutz gives me crap about it. Getting people into the Spiegel's feelings corner. I didn't have to draw you in at all, man. You were already here.
Nah.
You were right here.
You didn't have to set his traps that he usually sets for people.
I live there, my guy.
So we appreciate you. Thank you. And we're going to let you be with the public here, so they can talk to you and buy the book. But Control the Controllables, it's a great read. You can be done with it in a couple of days, and you can go back to it and refer to stuff depending on where you are in your life. Ladies and gentlemen, Raymont Harris.